My name is AnnSkelly from the 11Ann Writers Group. My first novel, Foolish Pride, was published last summer by Book Republic. I'm going to read an extract from it. I'm also going to be really brash and say there are copies of the book for sale here this evening. I would like them. Just 2 points before I jump into the extract here. Beth, the narrator, has just met the man whom she thinks could be the man for her. She's at Sunday Mass, hoping to meet him there. And the other point, she has recently been asked to become godmother to the baby of a best friend. And now let us offer one another the sign of peace. The monotonous drone of Father Flannery tailed off, giving us a few seconds' respite, while we all shook hands and invoked peace on each other. It gave me the chance to look down the aisle towards the rear of the church, where I was sure Andrew would have taken up position. 11 a.m. Mass on a Sunday was the one event of the week where you were bound to meet everyone in the parish. 9 a.m. was for the pious ones who wanted to impress others with their early rising, like my mother. Saturday evening Mass was for those who were anticipating a hangover on Sunday, like my father. But 11 a.m., that was for us normal folks, like me and Andrew. And yes, there he was, beside old Matty Doran, the sheep farmer with the stray wisps of grey hair pulled over a balding crown. And just look at the earnest expression on his face as he proffered his enormous hand to Matty's little wizened one. No wonder he was the talk of the parish. The Mass trundled its way to an end, punctuated by ragged coughing, which rose and fell in different parts of the church. Suddenly, the wailing cry of a bored infant pierced the rhythm of invocation and response. Like a reel of film, pictures of me standing at a baptismal font with my new goddaughter in my arms unrolled in my brain. I couldn't suppress a fleeting smile of delight. My mind took flight into the land of baby clothes, talcum powder, and cuddly toys. Meanwhile, at the back of the church, the rancid smell of damp overcoats and unwashed human flesh was contributing to the general gloom of people who just wanted to get the hell out of here and home to an open fire and dry clothes, or in some cases into the local pub with its open fire and copious amounts of hot whiskey. As Father Flannery finally reached the parish news and informed us of bingo sessions, a fundraiser for the old folks, and open day for the missions, feet began to shuffle, and the sporadic unease in the back rows turned to a more concerted movement towards the doors. Like a demented crab, I scuttled along the bench, made a hasty genuflection, and joined the throng proceeding down the aisle. In the cold, mizzling rain blowing from the north, churchgoers stood around in knots, huddling under giant umbrellas, discussing the events of the week. This was where the weather, the wheat's prices at the cattle mart, and whose health was failing were all crashed out. The sisterhood of respectable married women flapped around, lamenting the latest misdemeanours of their menfolk, and speculating on who was carrying on with whom. The latest misfortunes of Ossie Delaney, whose wife had absconded with her fancy man, were dwelt on with glee. "Ah, Beth, there you are." Frank Moran, with his fleshy jowls that drooped like those of a basset hound, was bustling over in my direction. "And how are all the Maguires?" "Grand, Frank. We're all grand, thanks. No complaints." By now I could feel every nerve in my body tightening in my anxiety to locate Andrew, and really didn't want to get drawn into a protracted conversation with this inquisitive little man about the health of all our family. I shifted uneasily from one foot to the other. "And how are things in that school of yours? I'm hearing wonderful things about the new fellow. What's his name?" "Andrew," I said faintly, my mind racing to find a way out of the inquisition. The last thing I wanted was to feed this gossip monger's ever-smouldering little brain, always hungry for fresh crumbs that could be twisted to give them a more salacious flavour. "Yes, Andrew." A smile spread across his lips. "Doing well then, is he?" I spotted the subject of our conversation striding purposefully towards us. In a fawn, crumbly overcoat, he stood out from the crowd. "Ah, the lovely Beth! I thought I might find you here." I could see Frank's bushy eyebrows raised by 2 inches as Andrew drew me into a hug. I needed to set things straight here. Frank, this is my colleague, Andrew Mackay. Frank Moran, our family doctor. "Delighted to meet you, Andrew." Frank's eyes travelled up and down, measuring the worth of the man the whole of Carrickmore was talking about. "You're very welcome to Ireland. And how are they treating you here?" "Oh, I've never had it so good, Frank." Did I catch a lightning wink there? "Sure, aren't I spoiled for choice with all the beautiful women in these parts?" He grinned companionably. "Ah, a ladies' man." Frank couldn't have asked for better. This was the news that would take wings around the parish before nightfall. "And is there a particular young lady in question?" The eyebrows had shot up again. I sent Andrew a warning look, but our signals weren't finely enough attuned for him to pick up on the danger. "Let's just say I'm living in hope." His meaningful look in my direction threw the doors open to speculation wide open. By tomorrow it would be all over the village that Beth Maguire had bagged the Scotsman. It was time to get the hell out of here. "Well, nice talking to you, Frank." I put a hand on Andrew's elbow to steer him away. "I'll tell Mum and Dad you were asking for them." Walking away, I could feel his beady little eyes boring into our backs with the penetration of the Stanley drill, his mind churning around the treasure trove he had unearthed, processing all the details to be regurgitated and no doubt embellished to his willing audience.